is a medium full of wonder and confusion, much like the world we live in. You can venture forth into the lands of the isekai, or the situations that mix our world into a slice of life. Or maybe your favorite heroes battling the very forces of evil and shonen. But there is one realm in particular that many steer clear from. If you're part of this fun league of wonders, then you may have found yourself a permanent residence in the Edgy Zone.
Intro aside, this anime is full-blown ridiculous. Its entire plot point, the service, a whole lot. And it makes sense given what we are dealing with, or what our heroic adventures are dealing with. I'd never heard of an anime that gets so close to being borderline hentai than this. I mean, just recently, we had the Iniki-san's dog adaptation, which left people questioning why it was made, and who thought it was a good idea to make an adaptation. I may talk about that highly controversial anime in a later video, but today we are talking about the brothel one. An anime so lewd that both its licensor and original network dropped the rights.
What?
And I'm of course talking about Interspecies reviewers. You may be wondering, how hard does this really slap? Well, buckle your fuckle, because it's about to get insane real quick.
Oh, fuck!
Interspecies Reviewers is a sex comedy, where our heroines not only fight the big dogs, but also engage in some social drinking, and more importantly, reviewing brothel joints. Why, you may ask? Well, they're pretty horny for sex, and so are the other adventurers waiting for the reviews. If they don't make enough money on said reviews, then they go out to battle world-threatening creatures and visit some joints, because why not? That's as good of a description I'm probably going to give to you, considering this is full of near non-stop ecchi material. With that in mind, let's discuss our main cast.
Know your fucking place, trash!
Stunk is the leader of the pack, as well as the only human member of it. He is very passionate about his career, and is not afraid to go after who he thinks will be a good review. His elf comrade, Zell, is very much in the same boat, but unlike him, Stunk really cares about the beauty of the sucky girls that he makes out with. I mean, technically in this My Anime List article, it's more youthful looks than inner beauty, but I'll just say beautiful looks for now. Then we have our third lead, Crimvale, a fallen angel who accompanies them on their quest to sleep with every sucky girl known to them. The only other cast member we see on more than one occasion is Majorie, a bird-maid server who beats the shit out of Stunk and the gang for their horrendous behavior. In a lot of time, it's well warranted when they mess around with her and her kind. Technically, she's more on the supporting end of the series, but for the sake of how much we see here in each episode slapping Stunk, I'm going to consider her part of the main cast for now. Our other recurring characters include Bruise, a tall buffed beastman, and Conchal, the blue-haired halfling of the reviewers. And that's most of who you'll see outside of the brothels in their world. Sure, there are other subplots going on involving completely different characters, but a good chunk of them tie into most of the reviewers' shenanigans. This brings me now to the episodes themselves, and what they're about. In the first episode, we get a glimpse into the succubus district and what to expect. It's there we see Stunk, walking out of a brothel, with a sucky girl in the background waving goodbye. Once Zell walks into the fray, the two have a heated discussion on their favorite girls. He compares Stunk's elf girl to an old hag, but even though the supposedly 50-year-old Mitsue has aged quite a bit, he's always ready to get down.
You're one to talk!
In the Alien Eats Tavern, this discussion continues to be tossed around by the reviewers, who ultimately stand with Zell's perspective. That's mad. The next day, we see our two leads on a walk discussing Stunk's taste in women and his old man. But just as it gets interesting, an explosion is seen from afar. Stunk and Zell run after the threat and slay it. It's soon after that they meet Crim, the one getting slain by the beast. Aside from their ability to float, they have a broken halo, signifying the denial to return to heaven. Because of this unfortunate event, they ask for safety under Stunk and his party until it fully heals. They both accept this fate, but under one condition: to revel in the absurdity of their sexual desires.
Hi?
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Of course, Crim immediately regrets this fate. The two of them assume by his looks that he's a boy, but it's also revealed that they're intersexual, containing both genitals. I can't believe I had to bring this up, but it's what Crim says in the anime, so I'll roll with it. Stunk and Zell treat their newly found friend to a sucky girl in the district. Our heroines enter the joint dubbed Meow Meow Paradise and have a ball with a sucky gal of their choosing. After their experience, the two of them geek out about it. And Crim can't help but feel completely disgusted that he did a horrible thing. The next day, he is introduced by his new comrades to the tavern and begins working there. It's there we also meet Majorie, who works alongside Crim serving tables. We also see a group of adventurers reading the reviews on the bulletin board from the reviewers. The two meatheads receive their pay on the reviews and begin searching for their next brothel. After 2 weeks, the trio return to the tavern with their latest review. Turns out they went after some bird maids, and this turns Majorie off. This is not going to be the only time we see her beating up Stunk, as we'll see it happen more often down the line. I mean, he definitely had that coming to him. The second episode opens with a gang going to a fairy brothel, where Stunk learns a valuable lesson on why big schlongs like his don't mean they're always better. The reviews go out in the fairy brothel, and they head to the town square. They watch a bombastic speech from the Lord of the Demon Party. It didn't need to be this showy. Stunk and Zell receive invitations to a demon brothel in order for the party to win the election. I mean, thank you, Demon 2. They try going to the joint later that night. However, most of the attention is stolen by the Minotaurs who walk across. I imagine we'll get back to this joint later, because of course, they need to review these girls first. The Minotaur review goes up, Stunk is horny for Majorie's gravitating chest, and all is well in the world. Sometime after, the adventurers head to an inn where you drink a gender-swapping potion and choose who you want to sleep with. Oh, that's disturbing. Apparently, they can't leave the premises because men have tried to use the potion to sleep with their friends. This doesn't stop the gang from going to inapproved brothels that know they're under the potion's effects. Stunk goes for Lorna, the elf girl, because of course he loves elves. Conchal goes after a fellow halfling, Felicia. I mean, nothing wrong with a palate cleanser. Zell goes after Limey the slime gal. What is this? And Krim goes for the hyena gal, Elsa. Of all the reviewers that were gender swapped, only Zell and Krim enjoyed the experience. I mean, Zell had a slime gal fucking him, so there's that. At the beginning of the 4th episode, we see our heroines completely naked and wasted. But Krim isn't the one wasted. How come? Well, it turns out they went to a joint full of low-level demons that will suck them dry. Oh, it's horrible. And it just so happens that a brigade of pigmen come over for a rematch.
Hey, boss.
The Lims wrap up with our heroines and throw them into the alley where we first saw them. Unsurprisingly, they all hated the experience. I don't blame them. The next day, they are tasked to fetch some fire gems for the tavern's owner. After a fight with some molten rocks, they hit up a local joint and get some grub. Their lunch is grilled by, and I can't believe they're a thing, a fire dragon succu girl?
What the fuck is that shit?
Why? I guess because she cooks decent meat. And Krim is okay with this? After they finally get the gems, they head on their way back. Is it Cyclops time? I guess so. This time, the gang was invited to this Cyclops joint. By a white knight or something. When it comes to the size fetish that our reviewers lust, it does not work the same in this joint. Apparently, it's more eye growth than chest. It went as well as you expect it to. Back in the tavern, Zell has a hunger for mushrooms. Let me guess, you want mushroom stew, risotto? Name your pick and I'll eat some of it? Yeah, no, he's talking about a fungus brothel. Why do I even bother? The receptionist is very similar to that of the fairy brothels. Okay. They all get their own shrooms to play with, and it's as suggestive as you can make it out to be. I mean, come on, this is mushrooms we're talking about. Of course there was going to be some jokes about it. The next morning, they're in a bit of a crisis as to where they'll go next. Not panicking per se, but definitely trying to figure out what the hell to do next. Majorie asks Krim about the issue, and suggests the next species that walks in will be the gang's night out. And it turns out to be a golem. God damn it, it's rock hard. They walk over to the place, and it also turns out to be a puppet brothel. You can imagine what our heroines have to do to get the girl. I can wait. Oh, what's that? They have to build their maidens? What they fucking do? The gang's trying to figure out their ideal puppet girl. It just so happens that Conjal makes an accurate replica of Majorie. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're gonna get your ass kicked. On the very next day, they got their asses beat up for it. This was what I meant earlier in the video. If you're on Majorie's bad side, you will never see the light again.
No mercy.
After her meltdown, the vibe of the place is ruined. To cope with the overwhelming darkness, the reviewers go to a light brothel. A light brothel, you say? And it's essentially sex in a public room with the lights cranked up all the way. Oof. Soon after, the tavern's happy campers were back. Glad that wasn't permanent. But it's also the unfortunate time of the month for Majorie. Stunk wants to see this egg laying for himself, but was previously kicked in the ass for mentioning it. I mean, you did have sex with a bird mate, so yeah, of course you were gonna have your ass handed to you. Regardless of that, the gang goes to an amphitheater to see bird maids lay eggs. But it's also home to other egg-laying creatures. I honestly feel for those three seeing this torture. I guess I'll head back too. Wait, there's a penguin? Oh, rev up those seats because we're ready. And by we, I mean the crowd. That man is too horny. Seriously, get him the hell out of here before he shits his pants in excitement. Oh, thank fucking God. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. It didn't completely suck, but it wasn't what they had for their expectations. The episode's post-credits are a popularity ranking. Nothing of interest. Next, the gang heads to a role-playing brothel. And my oh my, they're somewhat invested. Their next destination is the OG of the succubus joints. And it's very fancy. Wait, what the hell is Stunk ordering?
Oh my!
Okay, so it's like a restaurant that has a hotel. What is this place? Yeah, it turns out it's one of the more cheap options because of how long you stay there or some shit. I'm glad they said it's a place not to go often, because I have no words. They end up going on another week-long quest to Dracula's castle of all places. Wow, welcome to my brothel of vampires and zombies. Enjoy your stay. Krim ended up going to a different joint because he can't be around the undead. Honestly, they don't blame him. When they return from the trip, they learn of some men stealing the review aspect for their own gain. But Stunk and Zell realize they're all completely different, so the two end up reveling in the reviews. Not long after, they learn that the famous Archmage, Demia, also has her own joint. And it turns out a lot of men love spending time with her. So much so that they gave perfect scores. So the gang set out on their journey to the magic metropolis in hopes of finding the shop. Upon entering, they realize everyone has this same girl walking with them. What kind of fancy land is this? Well, it turns out the mage is powerful enough to make clones of herself. Okay. How it works is that each reviewer spends 3 days with one of her clones. And they can do whatever they please in private. Going to bed with her? Yes. Doing it again after breakfast? Of course. But once those days are up, her clones wave goodbye and disintegrate into the atmosphere. They're all torn on whether or not this is worth the experience. Yet at the same time, there's 3 whole days with Demia. Ultimately, they all gave her 10s. And with the guild's help, their review spreads across the mainland. Upon arriving back at the tavern, Stunk and Zell are greeted by an A-class pervert. He ridicules their reviews, stating that they're being negative Nancy's toward the girls they didn't enjoy. And unsurprisingly, gives each one a 10. He gets stabbed by his love, but survives the blow. They really didn't need to sit through that. After Krim finished his shift, Stunk and Zell are very drunk and go to a brothel bar. The gang wakes up to reviews they wrote of the experience. While being drunk, no less. And to top it off, they're terribly written. But they also have no more money to spend on joints, so they have to make it all back on quest. Since they had to do a lot to get back to where they were, the gang needed something easy. And while they reminisced on their past endeavors, they forgot about the one joint they missed. The demon joint from number 2. Thankfully, unlike the experience with the low levels, they actually got world-class treatment thanks to the recommendation. And it was a pretty fine one at that. After all they had been through, it comes down to this next night. What could possibly top all the shit they did for the year? Well, how about going with the best gals they had as their first fuck of the year? Because that's exactly what they did. As a courtesy from the fairy receptionist, they head to the place that caters to their needs. The Dream Repeater! Nonetheless, they had to make it worth the time.
I just
Maidry.
While it wasn't on the level of Archmage Demia, they still had a ball. After that, Stunk and Zell figure out what's next, like discussing the harem of Stunk's dad. And that is the series. Unsurprisingly, Interspecies Reviewers is a hot mess. Quite literally, in the best way possible. The main story was questionable to say the least, but engaging nonetheless. The question that's been plaguing my brain since watching this is if Interspecies Reviewers is too much in 2023. Well, yes and no. The chemistry between Stunk and Zell was great for a portion of the show, and a good chunk of humor absolutely made the landing. But then there's the ecchi factor, as most sane people stay far from it. As someone who's seen a good amount of ecchi over the years, it's fine. It's not going to win any golden statues, but sometimes that's alright.
There, I said it! I said it! I regret nothing! I regret nothing!
It's more about delving into the absurdity of things than providing much story and service. It had the task to be one of the most controversial anime of 2020, to focus on blurring the line between anime and hentai. And it definitely hits those marks to an extent, but it's not a bad experience. I appreciate the nature of it, for being unapologetic about what you're getting into. It's an anime about reviewing sex workers. What else do you expect? At least I can say it was a fun time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions on this anime, hit that like button. It helps me out immensely. If you want to see more content like this in the future, smash the subscribe button. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.